It's time for some Long Island iced tea. Will helium make Iceman float away? We'll answer that question today because we're talking Astonishing Iceman number 2 today on The Newest Mutants. Welcome back to yet another edition of The Newest Mutants. I'm Laz, your favorite mutant who is always cold but not made of ice. Before I get started, don't forget to stick around to hear my takeaways, see my favorite panels, and a book from my own collection so cool, it's like kissing an ice cube. Our story begins with a flashback to a younger Bobby Drake using his powers to save young Judy, his girlfriend, from the likes of Rocky, who would have done something nasty to her if the Iceman hadn't used his powers. Sadly, his neighbors are all insane bigots and hate mutants and want to kill him. Luckily, Bobby's family is supportive and his father is ready to defend him. Still, the mob breaks into his house and we cut to Bobby in the dark, awaiting the mob. Yeah. Fast forward to the present, to the very same neighborhood. Bobby Drake's mother, Mrs. Drake, is in the clutches of Helium, the unfreezable man, currently serving Orcus. He's going to use her and the rest of Bobby's hometown to lure Iceman out into the open. We cut back now to Antarctica and Iceman's own little fortress of solitude. He's in human form with his partner Romeo, and they're in bed. Bobby is a bit distracted, however, and he's not even really sure how he's alive. Romeo explains his empathetic powers are what is keeping Bobby solid and in the world of the living. Bobby explains that when he's out of the fortress, he can hardly stay solid and hardly control his own body and powers. Sadly, this conversation will have to be put on hold as Romeo gets an empathetic spike. They head over to the war room and discover a disturbance in Long Island, which would be normal, right? But no. Romeo warns him that it's a trap. Iceman doesn't care. He has to go. Luckily, Bobby hits us with some humor on the way out and says, if it's a trap, I'll put it on ice. Back to Long Island. We find out that the elements of death are holding the rest of the town hostage. Luckily for the rest of town, Iceman shows up, and before he goes after Helium, he starts rescuing all of the other hostages. Sadly, the townspeople don't see him as a hero, but as the reason they've been all held prisoner. This includes the mayor, Rocky, who he once put on ice for harassing his girlfriend. After liberating City Hall, Bobby heads for Helium. A battle ensues with Helium explaining that he cannot be frozen and that Iceman will fail against him. In a genius move, Iceman creates a bottle around Helium, trapping him inside, and stretching his power to the limit, he creates essentially an ice elevator and lifts Helium into space and launches him out of the atmosphere and away from Earth. Nice. Bobby returns to Long Island and has a joyous reunion with his mother, and after exchanging some words with her, he turns to Snow in her arms. She's a little surprised, but she knows that Bobby is still out there. However, back in Antarctica, Iceman returns to his form and embraces Romeo. Now in outer space to the Orcus space station known as the Bloom, we see Pequod. He's enlisting the help of the Cleaner, who is torturing a mutant on a medical table. Pequod has figured out where Bobby goes after he turns into ice and snow. The Cleaner asks, when do I start? As he murders the mutant on the table in one final blow. And that's the book! As always, thank you for making it this far. This is the part of the episode where I thank you for watching. Thank you. Iceman's approach to defeating Helium, though, was quite innovative, and it was a really cool use of his powers. But, and here's my question, could he have defeated Helium in another manner? I'm really interested because I didn't know how he was going to beat him. But what do you think? Leave a comment if you have another cool solution to the Helium problem. And while you're there, please hit that like and subscribe button. You'd be doing this mutant a huge favor. But now, back to the show. As always, I love to give credit where credit is due, and we are going to look at this cover of Astonishing Iceman #2 right here, and it is by Jesus Saiz, our cover artist. Our writer for this issue is Steve Orlando. Artist is Vincenzo Caratu. Our color artist is Hava Tartaglia, and our letterer, Travis Lanham. As always, we have the astonishing C.B. Cebulski as Marvel's editor-in-chief. Now, let's get to my takeaways. When we covered Astonishing Iceman #1, I asked the question, is Bobby a ghost? Well, we got our answer, and it's no. He is not a ghost. He's actually being held together through the empathic gifts that Romeo possesses. That being said, how long can Romeo sustain this? Also, now we have the cleaner potentially on the way. Will he be able to infiltrate and destroy Iceman's icy castle in Antarctica? I don't know. This series feels like they're going to be throwing us a bad guy of the week until Orcus decides to really let him have it. Hopefully, Iceman will take it to them before it's too late. Of course, I'm wondering how this also may or may not tie into the main Fall of X narrative that we're seeing play out in Invincible Iron Man and X-Men. Other than that, the elements of Doom didn't seem that ferocious, but they were interesting henchmen, at least for this issue. Too bad Helium was full of hot air. Time now for my favorite panels. My third favorite panel belongs to the final panel right here. It's very simple, and what I want to focus on is the black and red piece of art, just showing the cleaner stab right into his torture victim. It's dramatic. It's moody. And red and black feel very much the opposite to the colors of Iceman, being these blues and whites. I think the color contrast is great, and I like the style of the art here. My second favorite panel belongs to this army of semi-sentient snowmen that help to liberate City Hall from the elements of Doom. I don't know about you, but I love these snow drones, and watching the elementals fall victim to them is exciting. You have Iceman all the way in the back in the middle, and the snowmen just seem to flood out from this singular point and fill out the bottom of the panel. Very nice. I like the composition. My favorite panel, though, is this one. We have Iceman lifting Helium into space in the ice bottle, and here we see how powerful Iceman really is. You see his giant head gazing down and judging Helium, who is trying desperately to escape the ice bottle prison, just moments before he gets tossed into deep space. It's very dramatic. What I love is the light of the sun on the horizon filling up that helium bottle, and I know it's a little detail, but I can imagine how the light would flicker and shimmer through this icy prison. I love it. Please enjoy this piece of art. And that's it. That's the show. But before I go, as always, let's check out a book from my collection. Today's book is X Factor number 31. Look at that bad boy. Or girl. It has Iceman in chains with Infectia trying to seduce him on the cover. Great art by classic artist Walter Simonson. Funnily enough, the plot of this book involves Infectia trying to get Bobby to kiss her for the entire issue. Hilarious. Great stuff. Classic stuff. Next time, we'll go see what Cable and Bishop have been up to in Children of the Vault #2. Until next time, Excelsior.